Kenya's economy has been resilient. In fact, World Bank predicted a 5.9% economic growth in the year 2016 and a further rise to 6% in the year 2017. You cannot effectively learn about practical skills about business from someone who is not a practicing entrepreneur. One can only effectively teach what they consistently model. I model entrepreneurship. You too can be the next entrepreneur. You too can be the next employer. I'm Dr. Ng'ang'a. Thank you.
There is someone in this live audience who has started a business. Several statistics suggest 90% of all businesses in sub-Saharan Africa fail. Yet there are those amongst us who seem to succeed. Whatever they touch with their hands seem to flourish. Such need to be studied. Such need to be examined. We are not going to study them tonight so that we can copy them, but so that we can emulate their success stories, so that we can analyze the common denominators. This is because business is both a science and an art. Business is an art in the sense that it involves ingenuity, creativity, innovativeness that are inherent. The art side of business analyzes the relationship between man and his environment. But business is also a science, meaning it involves universally acceptable rules, policies, and procedures that any of us can study and be successful. I hope you came with your notebook. I want to take you through some 9 lessons. Are you ready? And let me just give you a glimpse. The very first lesson I'll take you through is why businesses fail in Kenya. The second lesson I'll take you through is business mindset. The third lesson, business idea. The fourth lesson, business timing. The fifth lesson, business modeling. The sixth lesson, products differentiation. Lesson number 7, competitive advantage. Lesson number 8, team execution. Lesson number 9, and the last one, business funding. And before I begin on the very first lesson, lesson number 10, I'll be giving you 10 sources of business funding. Stay with me. Number 1, why do businesses fail? I'm going to propose some 8 key reasons why businesses in this country fail. I went into business straight from JKUAT after I completed my undergraduate studies in mathematics statistics, and I'll try to flash out part of the lessons I've learned in the business world throughout this presentation, later on as I continue. I am not suggesting that this list is exhaustive, but it will give you the primary reasons that you need to watch out for. In retrospect, I'm giving you critical success factors. Why do businesses fail? Number 1, lack of purpose. We do business because we have to, not because we want to. We are looking for an occupation. We hate laziness as a country. And you're looking for something to do, not necessarily because it connects with you at your heart level, but because you are virtually looking for an occupation. You see, you will never be fulfilled in life unless you operate in your domain. Your gift is your domain. Your gift is your natural element. Outside your gift is flying against the weeds, swimming against the currents, and growing against nature. Fish never enroll for swimming lessons. Birds never enroll for flying school. Nor do tree seedlings study afforestation. They just flow in the gift. And here is the deal. Every time you don't operate in your purpose, you're swimming against the weeds, against the current. You're operating against your natural element. So I want to invite you to rethink of how you can connect with your deepest purpose and have a sense of mission and stop working and begin loving what you do and doing what you love. Finding your place. Why do businesses fail? Number 2, lack of focus. We spread too thin. You can't afford a broad strategy on a startup budget. A lot of Kenyans diversify right at incubation of the business idea. Sometimes when I speak in business forums, and many of you in the corporate world have met me in your places of work, people ask me a question. We know people like Richard Branson, who have very many businesses, or Warren Buffett. Why do you tell us to put our eggs in one basket? I hear that kind of reasoning time and again. Please speak to me if you can. Let's just be honest with each other. What do you recognize Bill Gates with? Give me the name. Microsoft. Jack Ma? Alibaba. Mark Zuckerberg? Facebook. Okay, that's America. That's China. Let's come back to Kenya. Dr. James Mwangi? Equity. Fantastic. Tabitha Karaja? Keroche. Terry Mugai? Ashley. Look, you never mentioned two names. That doesn't mean Dr. James Mwangi has not invested in real estate, insurance, bank, and elsewhere. But he has his place. So you cannot diversify until you succeed in your business. It is out of the excess of your business that you can afford to broaden your strategy. You can't afford to open too many verticals on a startup business, or even to scale up too fast. Concentrate and optimize on the existing market before considering diversification. Why do businesses fail in Kenya? Number 3, we give up too soon. We are a generation that signs defeat at the slightest toothache. I want to tell you right now, every time you're getting into a new territory, you'll be confronted by unfamiliar giants who try to stop you from expanding your domain. You've got to fight till all trouble withers away. You've got to fight till all giants fade away. You've got to purpose in your heart, somebody's ship will sink this year, but that's not my ship. The greatest difference between winners and losers is the ability to hold on. The real mark of faith is the ability to hang on. You must choose not to be the losing type. No one has a problem with the first mile of a race. Even infants will do relatively well. Maturity is staying the course and finishing your race and finishing strong. The fact that the road is bumpy and the weather is misty doesn't imply that you're headed in the wrong direction. Doesn't call you to question your vision. The road to success is uphill, and only the strong get there. If success were easy, who wouldn't be successful? Why do businesses fail? Number 4, copying others. You find Reverend Natasha with a huge meeting, and the next moment you start one without studying what it takes her to reach there. You find someone with an Mpesa without even investigating. You begin to observe the visible signs of success. Premium homes, high-end cars, designer clothes, flying first class, expensive jewelry. Without realizing, you are gazing at a mirage, glaring at an illusion. True success cannot be seen with the physical eyes. It is what happens inside such a person. Wahenga walisema, ukiona vielea, vimeundwa. There is an incredible amount of work, because I guarantee you masters work hardest. They are the last ones to fall. That's why Jesus taught, the greatest amongst you must be the servant of all. You prepared for this meeting, but maybe I didn't sleep preparing for you. You just came because, well, it's free, and it's not raining, and why not? It's a nice way to spend an evening. But do you think that was my attitude? Absolutely not. They pay the higher price. You can't choose to be a master and choose to sleep at the same time. You just can't admire what others are doing, admiring the fruits without studying the roots. Why do businesses fail? Number 5. Plan B. We Kenyans are very fond of this, coming up with an out scheme. Just in case plan A falters, I have an escape route. You can't come up with an escape route and fail to use it someday. If I may use an illustration now that they gave me some water, this is our typical behavior. Assume this is a cooking pot. I'm going to use my seat. No. Can you see this? Now, typical Kenyan behavior. This is how I'm going to boil my water. This is my cooking pot, and this is my stove. Gonna put a drop and watch it from a distance. If you do it boils properly, I'll add a drop. Watch it from a distance. What's gonna happen to the water if I keep on adding drop by drop? It's gonna evaporate. There's only one way for me to heat this water and have my water at the same time. Put all of it in my cooking pot. So, we put some 5,000 bob in a business, we watch it from a distance. If the business behaves, I'm gonna add some 20,000. Eventually, you have no business. The only way out to succeed in business is to destroy your escape routes. Have no plan B's. Decide there's only one way out, success. Destroy the point of return. Decide there's no bridge to go back. Have your 2 feet deeply rooted in the air like a radical. Jesus taught, where your treasure is, there your heart is. The more you diversify, the more you spread your heart. Learn to focus. I define focus in Sensono Life Club as this: the ability to say no. There are many good opportunities before us, premium opportunities. But the essence of strategy is identifying what not to do. Wisdom is not just knowing what to do, but even more importantly, knowing what not to do. Why do businesses fail in Kenya? Number 6, lack of time discipline. Family and friends recognize that those in the corporate world cannot be called any time you want. They are answerable to a supervisor. But what about the girl? What about the man in business? Oh, he's available in an hour. And we begin to misuse the concept of becoming your own boss. Because whoever interferes with your time interferes with your success. You can't afford to attend to every Tom, Dick, and Harry and succeed at the same time. Demand others to respect of your time. Number 7, why do businesses fail? Deviation of project funds. A lot of Kenyans start a business, and I know some of them are guilty. They are listening to me right now. A lot of Kenyans start a business, and 1 month later, they decide to remove just a few hundreds for their bus fare, just a few hundreds for emergency rent, just a few hundreds for a burial or a wedding or a friend. Without realizing, the business goes under. If you talk to any banker in our midst, they will tell you perhaps the most common source of business failure in Kenya is something to do with our cash flow. It takes on average 6 to 18 months for most businesses just to break even. You've got to separate between your personal bank account and your business bank account. Bite the bullet and say you're not touching any coin. You've got to plow back. Do your maths, calculate your payback period, and say no to getting your fingers into that cash box. Number 8, lack of business planning. We just have this notion, things will work out somehow, someday. So we have not done any sales analysis or projections. We have not thought through business modeling or competition or how we are going to deal with it. As the old adage goes, if you fail to plan, you plan to fail. Business planning is not something we go to. It's something we grow through. We don't go to it, we grow through it. It's a lifelong commitment. Lesson number 2, business mindset. Business mindset. You and I and majority of Kenyans, our well-intended parents and school teachers prepared us for a job. They told us to work very hard to get a good grade so that we become a what? A doctor and a lawyer, finally, an engineer. They didn't even know various types of engineers. So they told us to color along the lines. They began to build perimeter walls around our thinking. And that began to limit our imagination. We may not all have equal capital, but we all come equipped. We are all born endowed with capital. Well, I agree there are some of us who are born more privileged than others. But even if you came from a more privileged background than the rest of us, someone can take away your father's car. Someone can sell your inheritance. But there is something within you that no one can take away from you. There is something within you that cannot be robbed in a court of law. And that's your imagination. It's your inalienable right. As you sit here tonight, you are in one place at this particular point in time. You're restricted by time and space. But there is something within you that knows no bounds. There is something within you that can transcend time and space. And that's your imagination. Just to give you an example. Michael Faraday was born 1933. He discovered electromagnetic induction 1933, which gave birth to what we have in tonight as power. Everything around us here is powered by electricity. 1833, electricity is discovered. Man dies 1867, 25th of August. It's 151 years to date, and the man is still ruling us. He never reached Kenya. I guarantee you he has transcended his time. He has transcended his space. In all likelihood, he never traveled 90% of the nations of the earth. As you sit here tonight, you can take a walk around the earth and get back to your seat in just a millisecond through your imagination. You see, many of us wish to be better 10 years to come. I can tell you exactly where you will be 10 years from now. Exactly where your thoughts are today. You will never rise above your thoughts. You will never rise above your imagination. You don't have a mind, you are your mind. Shall I be a great investor someday? Answer, what thoughts are in your mind today? Your life will never exceed the quality of your thoughts. Let me put it this way. The quality of your life will never exceed the quality of your thoughts. The very polarity of the human mind is made in such a manner that once your mind is stretched by new knowledge, it can never go back to its original position. Your mind is elastic. That's why it's your responsibility to tell great stories, to enliven the imagination, and to stretch your mind beyond the cognitive. You see, if you sleep on bed for 2 weeks in a row non-stop, you will require physical therapy to learn to walk again. Or let me put it in a simpler way. If you just fold your hands like this for 2 good weeks in a row and we tie them with ropes, you will have to be done therapy for you to stretch your hands again, because your hands will begin to atrophy, to waste away. What is true for our other physical muscles is true for our mental muscles. Once you don't stretch your mind with new information, your imaginative faculties will waste away. You could be one thought away from becoming a millionaire. You could be one thought away from becoming an investor entrepreneur. It will never hit your wallet before it hits your mind. It will never reflect in your bank account before it is banked in your mind. You can change your spouse. You can change your residence. You can change your car. You can change the country of residence and go to other bigger economies. But unless you change your mind, you'll never change your reality. Nations, life partners, change of churches, change of clothes does not change who you are. You are your mind. That's why you've got to take care of your inputs. Are you a victim of other people's minds? Do you allow every piece of media to sink in your system? I invite you to a higher ground. Process information before you allow it. Filter it before you allow it. Do not even be a puppet of what other people are teaching you. Be a student. Don't be a follower. Test every thought, even the ones I'm going to share tonight, against timeless truths. Because you are never created to be stranded by any set of circumstances. You are created not to be a creature of circumstances, but a creator of circumstances. You know, there is something that even medics in our midst and elsewhere, and biologists have never decoded. How come? Even monozygote twins who develop from the same zygote, sharing the same DNA, have different fingerprints. This is not a scientific question. This is a theological question. Your fingers present your creative power. That's why Scripture talks about the work of our hands. That's why no one has the same fingerprints like the other person. This is the basis for DNA testing. What's the importance of what I'm saying? You are created as a creative being. You are created to come up with solutions for any circumstance in your neighborhood, in your place of work, and in your nation. Kenya will never be made by other people. Only Kenyans will solve this problem. If you believe what I've told you, then I want to suggest that God did not finish the creation story on the 6th day. On the contrary, he began the creation story literally on the 6th day because he created another set of creative beings. He created you to create. You know, created in the image of God has many ramifications, interpretations, definitions, but I believe part of what that means is that you are created in the image of God, is that you are also a creative being. Psalm 62:6, you are God's. You are created to create solutions for mankind. None of you is suffering from polio because Jonas Salk revealed himself and gave us polio vaccine in 1955. You're going to watch, over 99% of you here are not going to travel to Russia this June. You're going to watch World Cup from the comfort of your houses because John Bird in 1926 gave us the television. Many of you fly to distant places, not realizing two bicycle mechanics with no education in aeronautical engineering. In 1903, 7th of December, made us to fly, the Wright brothers. The question is, what are you bringing to this place? You're just consuming products other human beings made. You sneak in life unnoticed, exist unnoticed, sneak out unnoticed. We read your story for the first time in the obituaries. Seriously, every time you use somebody's innovation, whether it's Mpesa, whatever it is, ask yourself, what contribution are you adding to mankind? Because you are a creative being. Lesson number 3, business idea. Everything that exists is an expression of an idea that was in someone's mind someday. The phone you have, the watch you have, the clothes you have, the mic I'm holding, were all ideas in somebody's mind. They were expressed as the physical things that we are appreciating tonight. You see, money does not generate ideas. On the contrary, ideas generate money. There are a lot of people who write me funny emails. Doc, if only I had this capital, I would have started a business. Nothing could be further from the truth. I know I have people listening to me right now who took a bank loan, invested in a business through a friend or a relative. A few months later, perhaps a year or two, the business was not there, and the poor fellow had the audacity to come back to you for more money. Deductively then, if money is all we need to start business, then all we need is to work for a few, 2, 3, 4 years, take a loan and launch into business. But the reality on the ground is this. If you start business without what I'm about to teach you on product differentiation, business modeling, competitive advantage, team execution, without the temperament to handle employees and customers, without the composure to deal with sudden wealth, that money may destroy you and go by the weeds. Yet many of us still believe what is between me and my idea is just capital. That's not true. Most businesses were started from scratch. I'll prove to you in just a moment. Stay with me. A business idea attracts investors. When you have a sound business idea, nobody cares your gender, your race, your age. Because ideas rule the world. Idea people rule the world. You don't climb up the corporate trunk based on your papers and qualifications or even years of experience. It is the ideas you bring on the table and a strategic mind. Business idea is more powerful than any other source of capital. Amazon, Apple, Google, HP, Microsoft were all started from a car garage. The entrepreneurs in these cases that I have mentioned never launched multi-billion-dollar factories, but multi-billion-dollar ideas. And so is Alibaba and Facebook and Uber taxis. Because a sound idea is more powerful than any other form of capital. The real test of an idea is its ability to solve a real human problem. An idea that does not solve a real human problem will face existential challenges. Someday, a few years ago, Someone observed the toilets of the City Council of Nairobi, the current county city of Nairobi. You and me avoided those toilets. They were not usable. We saw a problem to evade. Someone saw an opportunity to exploit. And the business began to grow. Now he brings even portable toilets for many functions, corporate functions, and the like. I don't know his current figures, but I understand he has already hit $1 billion. The problem you're avoiding to solve in your neighborhood, in your place of work, in this nation, could be the idea that is sustainable. Why? Money will come and go, but human problems will persist. And the more persistent, the more stubborn a human problem, the greater the business idea. If you're looking for a serious business idea, look for that persistent, nagging human problem that has refused to go away, the one that everyone else has refused to solve. That's the giant to slay. And greatness is preceded by slaying a giant. How do you identify a giant? Identify what everyone else is avoiding. See, greatness is preceded by dealing with extraordinary challenges in a very ordinary manner. A good idea is not the one that you possess, rather, the one that possesses you. Your relationship with your idea is far greater than any obstacle to the execution of that idea. The good news is this: an idea whose time is ripe is irresistible. Someone might resist your idea once or twice or a dozen times, but believe me, an idea whose time is due is just like a baby whose time is due. That idea has to be delivered. Lesson number 4, business timing. In life, timing is not an option. The Lord Jesus knew his mission even before he was born, but he started his ministry when he was 30 years of age. Scripture teaches, at the fullness of time, God sent his son. God believes in timing. You see, I have met a lot of single ladies in our meetings. During Q&A, they tell me they messed up because they met this dude who looked so handsome, doing well in his professional life. And because they didn't want to lose him, they engaged with him in premarital sex just to realize they were played by yet another player. Love, the wrong time, hurts. A newborn baby is a gift to mankind. But unplanned pregnancy, often than not, hurts. In many ways, business timing resembles various aspects of timing in life. Because business timing will require that the entrepreneur is totally at peace within himself and in harmonic agreement with market dynamics. I didn't want to get academic. From an academic perspective, business timing means the right balance between supply and demand. Business timing means you've got to analyze whether this is the right time to release your product to the open market. Because there's no idea that is absolutely new. Today you're using social media platforms like Facebook and WhatsApp, LinkedIn, Instagram. But they could not be existing if we did not have another idea called internet. Internet could not be existing if there was no other idea called electric power and also the telephone. They had to precede the internet. So as you think that your idea is entirely new, chances are very high it's a building block on other ideas. So you need to check the supporting ideas. Why do I say that? When you do the right thing at the wrong time, you don't get rewarded. You reap pain. You strike too early or you strike too late and you risk striking out. So Doc, when is it striking too early in a business? If people are not discussing such a problem that your solution is proposing, you are going to be faced with an uphill battle. Let's face it. At times, techpreneurs are way ahead of the market. They have ideas that the mass market has no clue that they need these solutions. But even then, be sure that the solution you're proposing is addressing a need, a very pressing need. When is it too late? You're proposing a solution that has attracted various investors who have gained mass audience and momentum, and they have satisfactorily addressed such a need. Believe me, you'll have a harder time dealing with the existing cartels. When is the right time? When you sense a pain point exists from your market research, People are discussing the need for a solution and nobody is stepping forward. Be the hero in the story. Be the brave one. Don't wait for the courageous to step up and step forward. Go ahead and pounce. This is the right time. According to Bill Gross, one of the most respected market researchers in the world, business timing accounts to 42% of success in business. You see, business has a clock, and you've got to go through every single hour. You cannot circumvent the hands of time. You cannot shortcut the entrepreneurial process. If you are awoken by waking emotions, your business will flop even before you begin. What are waking emotions? You start a business simply because you are fired. You are still emotionally unstable. You start a business to prove a point to someone that you've got the material, you've got what it takes. You start a business to frustrate a lecturer because you failed a unit and you've refused to graduate. So then you need to show them that there is something more than graduation. If you begin a business because you are woken up by waking emotions, you are likely to have an unpaid assignment. No one is going to implement your business irrespective of the trades, the economy, the customer base. So be sure you are at peace with yourself. You can't get along with others unless you learn how to get along with yourself. And business relationship is organic, just like any other human relationship. You've got to find harmony with your newfound business relationship. So let's go to business modeling. Number 5, lesson number 5. This is a very simple concept, don't complicate it. It is a question of how am I going to come up with my product or service, distribute it until it reaches my consumer. That whole process is called business modeling. Similar to business planning in substance, except that business planning is futuristic, trying to give projections about the future. Business modeling analyzes the past, what makes an existing business to stand. Each one of you, please, give me your eyes, eyeball to eyeball. And I want to give you an illustration. We pick a lesson right now. Are you ready? I'm holding an axe, and I want to cut down a tree. I sharpen my axe and I swing. I hit the tree. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I get tired. I keep the axe down. Today is Tuesday. Tomorrow I sharpen my axe. Same tree, same spot. 5 times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I get tired. I forget about it. I relax. I repeat on Thursday. Same tree, same spot. I repeat on Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. Next week but one. The whole week. Speak to me, all of us, unanimously if you can. The tree will? I can't hear you. The tree will? Watch this. Some trees may take 2 years. Others 2 months or 2 weeks or 2 days or 2 hours. Surely as the day follows the night, the tree will fall. The average Kenyan tries this tree today, gets exhausted, leaves it. Tries this tree tomorrow, it's mahogany, leave it. Hardwood. So by January, they are doing nyamachoma. By March, they're in salon. By June, they're trying a restaurant. And then they say business does not work. That's the primary mistake number 1. And I'll give you the mistake number 2. For me, I found my 5 long ago. Every day I read, every day I write, every day I follow thoughts, every day I do reflective thinking, and I ask myself critical questions. One more time. Every day I read, every day I write, every day I follow thoughts, I do critical thinking or reflective thinking, and then I ask myself questions. Before I spoke to you, I was alone at the lounge, reflecting over the message, asking myself critical questions that could be in your mind. I never make any presentation without going through that. Doc, do you do that on Sunday? Yes, because I stopped working. Do you do that during Christmas? Oh, yes, because I stopped working. Reading is no longer work for me. I felt thoughts every day. This is my oxygen. Some people tell me, Doc, but you know what? There is so much money in oil. I say, that's a good business. You're right. For me, every day I read. Every day I write. Every day I follow those. I ask myself critical questions, and I do reflective thinking. Sell your oil. Some people tell me, there is so much money in construction, and that's true. Every day I read, every day I write, every day I follow thoughts. I ask myself questions. I do reflective thinking. Am I dumb? My dumbness has taken me to every continent. I've talked to many entrepreneurs. I have too many stories I can't finish tonight, but let me give you one. I was speaking in Mombasa. It was hosted by KCB. There were a number of people, they introduced themselves. I singled out a guy who was selling tea. He was 66 then. And I said, this guy must be a multi-millionaire. A dear friend of mine by the name Jane Isiaho, the regional manager KCB, stood and said, Doc, how did you identify that guy? In the largest bank in Coast Province, where I sit, his account alone accounts to 30% of the deposit. He asked me, how did you know that? Simple. People here introduced 10 businesses. This guy said since he was 19 to the time he's 66, he has done one business, tea business. He started selling tea small scale using a pickup, a canter, a lorry, trucks, containers of ships. Every day. This is the only game I have mastered. What I'm doing tonight. And this is the only thing I'll do until the Lord comes for me. We have failed in the concept of mastery because we are copying what other people are doing. A guy told me during Q&A, Dr. Kinyanjui, I sell a restaurant. Mimi kwa restaurant yangu, kuna meza kubwa sana. I lift my neck like this. Naangalia ganani hapo wanaiba. Naangalia. Tunakuwaga na bibi yangu hapo. Wanapitia hapa na chukua stamp. Na sign naangalia. Mimi nafungua macho hivi. So how many restaurants can he have? Here's the deal. How many in this live audience have ever heard the name Kevin Ashley? Lift up your head, please. Anyone who has ever heard the name Kevin Ashley? One or two hands. But 100% of you know Nairobi Java House. But you don't even know the owner, and you don't need to know him. Why? Hakagi hivi. The guy's office is in ABC Place. He has over 40 restaurants to date. He's not even a Kenyan. He came here when he was 22. But every day, restaurant, coffee restaurant. Every day, coffee restaurant. Every day, coffee restaurant. He has what I call a business system. I'm going to give you some 6 features of a business system. Number 1, owner absence. The ability to operate when you're not there. If you must be in the business for it to operate, hear me well, you don't have the business, you are the business. And when you fall sick, your business falls sick. Jim Rohn said, while products will make you money, our business system will make you a fortune. Number 2, a business system. Feature number 2, attracts talents. You get people who are brighter than you, more skilled than you, because they feel secure. There's a clear HR system, clear staffing system, clear procurement system. They know you can't wake up one morning in a certain emotion and tell them, toka, enda, odoka. Number 3, attracts resources. A business system attracts resources. One of the major reasons some of these businesses are succeeding phenomenally is because investors have seen the system and they're ready to invest right there. Number 4, a business system. Scalability. You can scale it. If I can have Java Coffee House, Mama Ngina, or say the very first one, Adams Arcade, then I can open one at Koinange. I can open one at Mama Ngina Street. I can open another one at Arboretum. I can open another one in Kisumu, in Nakuru, in Nyali, Mombasa. Why? The system is scalable. If equity works in Upper Hill, it can work in Kigali, in Bujumbura, in Kampala, in Dar es Salaam. Why? It's a system. Number 5, a business system has a succession plan. There's a clear line between the owner and the business. The business has its own life. Number 6, a business system complies with statutory requirements. The average Kenyan entrepreneur has 3 sets of books. The actual books of accounts, he knows the actual profit. Set number 2, the one that goes to KRA, it records losses for 10 years. And the third set, the one that goes to the bankers when they're looking for a loan, exaggerated profits. Without realizing, when you said those books of accounts to the bankers, you'll be unable to service the loan. Why did I tell you about a business system? Because it is the basis of business modeling. I'll quickly give you 10 examples of business models. It is up to you to choose the model that you'll use for your business. Model number 1, direct sales model. Direct sales model. A lot of producers, a lot of manufacturers sell either A, through the retails like supermarkets, or B, through distributors like breweries, like Coca-Cola. That's one model. And I've talked to these groups of people like Keroche, and I've seen distributors who are exceptionally successful. Sometimes you don't have to start another brewery because you're admiring Keroche or another Coca-Cola. You could be a super distributor. That's a model. Model number 2, commission model. In Kenya, commission is very common with insurance, but many nations, commission works for many organizations where you choose not to produce the product, but to sell it. So you don't take responsibility for the quality and standard. Your work is to sell the product. Number 3, franchise model. Franchise model. You buy into an existing business, and some of you need to go that direction. Then you pay them royalties, like KFC or McDonald's or Starbucks. Number 4, freemium model. Now, this is new. Let me spell for you. Might be tricky for many of you. F-R-E-E-M-I-U-M. Freemium model, from the word free. Very common in service industries. You give a service for free, and then you harvest the contacts. For example, a beauty shop may call people for manicure services for free, 100% free. They harvest the contacts, hoping that the contacts will eventually come and buy something like Care or any other product. Number 5, auction model. You present your products to the open market, and you give the product to the competitive bidder. You subject them to competitive bids. Number 6, ads-on model. Let me spell for you. ADDS-ON. ADDS-ON. Ads-on model. A business model where you add additional features to your original promise. For example, I don't know how many of you can identify with this. You buy a house in a gated community, then the very same guys who sold to you a house, they come back to you and tell you, you need to be part of the management system because we are bringing in electricity, we are cleaning the compound, and they exaggerate the prices. You thought you bought your house, but then you have some 10,000 to continue paying them per month in the name of service. Do you identify with that? People are becoming that tricky. It's not in the original offering. They are additional features and they don't give you a choice. They are compulsory. Number 7, advertising model. Advertising model. Common with the media houses, where they don't charge the consumers, but the guys who advertise through them. Not just the mainstream, not just radios, newspapers, and TVs, but even social media does the same. You listen to my YouTube videos, and you see adverts there. You don't pay for that, but somebody pays for YouTube. And if you choose to go that direction, even if you're not going to launch into the mainstream media, then most likely you're going to use that model to recoup your investment and make your profits. Number 8, bait and hook model. Bait and hook model. Mobile phone companies, especially in Europe, gave people mobile phone headsets, and then they made money through usage. So the bait was the headset, the hook was the usage. Number 9, pay on usage model. Pay on usage model. Mobile phone companies in Africa use this model whereby you pay through the quote-unquote minutes consumed, credit consumed. Number 10 and the last one, subscription model, where the investor decides to put up an infrastructure like for power or water, and then you continue, they tie you with a long-term contract. I know a friend of mine who is in Sense Online Club who've done that. He's put up a water system where he lives, and over 50 families are getting water from his borehole. So they're paying him consistently. But unfortunately for many of us here, we think it's only Nairobi Water that can do that. And these are options we need to think through. Not every one of us doing restaurants in Kenya, seriously. Every one of us doing a boutique, seriously. Are you with me? Lesson number 6. Products differentiation. Products differentiation. How do you differentiate your products from the rest? That's the question. And to differentiate yourself, it doesn't have necessarily to be very major changes. It can be minuscule or even purely aesthetic. All it matters is to alter consumer perception. It can be the way you do packaging or simply advertising. For example, and by the way, I'll say this, I'm not holding brief for anyone, but I'm deliberately going to be mentioning local examples. I'm not marketing for anyone. But I just want us to identify with the cases. For example, Keroche Water. They did executive water, and I know some of you could be producing water. I repeat again, we are just using local examples for the sake of learning. Is that okay? Executive water, to me, it has differentiated itself because most water companies, I see the bottles looking the same. Like the bottles we have here. I don't know whether you've seen that. You struggle to see whether this is Quencher, Kelly-Gate, Dasani, and I say with a lot of respect. When our son Zig was little, around 3 years of age, we used to give him 7 C's. And many mothers, I don't know why they give children such terrible fish oil. But one day the boy saw an advert on the TV. Scotty Marshall helps me grow. The boy wanted to grow. He refused to take 7 C's. He said, Mama, I want Scott Immersion. Why? It helps me grow. That changed the primary consumer of the product. And the boy couldn't take 7 C's anymore. Maybe the two cod liver oil have no single difference in their chemical composition, but it has altered the consumer perception. And that's what is called differentiating your product. There are 2 types of products. There are many for the benefit of the economists in our midst, but I'll mention 2 for the sake of our learning. There are 2 broad categories of products. Number 1, complementary products. These are products that are used together. For example, coffee and sugar. They are used together. So when the demand of one product goes up, the demand of a complementary product goes up. In retrospect, if the price of one product goes up, the demand of the complementary goes down. That's why producers of complementary products should work together. They should collaborate. The second category of products are substitute products. These are products you use in place of one another. For example, tea or coffee. You must be very mad to use tea and coffee in the same cup. Either or, you don't use them at the same time. Substitute products is what shapes the competition in the industry. I believe with all my heart, when Kenya Power will get proper competition, we will have less blackouts in the country. And those from Kenya Power say amen. Here is the big deal. Telkom was busy putting, and as I said, if you're from Telkom, these are just local, real examples. Telkom Kenya was busy putting posts all over the nation when the world had since moved mobile phone. Safaricom used just to be a department there. When they realized that they have been lagged behind. Right now, I know Telkom is doing the very best they can to regain a market they lost. But to refresh the memory of Kenyans, and especially those Telkom guys who are in our midst, Telkom had the advantage of the goodwill of the country, the asset, the infrastructure, but they simply did not move at the speed of the market. The question you have right now for me, how then do I differentiate myself? I'm going to answer that question by giving you 4 examples. It's up to you to see how you can do it. 4 simple examples. Number 1, Java Coffee House. Java differentiated through creating a strong brand and maintaining quality. Their coffee is the same, irrespective of the restaurant you go. So their quality has been consistently predictable. Number 2, Uber cars. Uber differentiated through creating a business system. Now we have more professional drivers, the cars are cleaner, the users are more, and the price is more friendly. Is that a fact? More people are using taxis today with the entry of Uber in the market. Number 3, Equity Bank. To refresh your memory, Equity used to be a tiny building society. But Equity Bank differentiated mainly through financial inclusivity, a concept whereby I believe that all should be banked, while some other banks were busy throwing away customers because they did not have quality accounts. Equity was going for that mama boga. And before realizing, it is the largest bank in the country by the number of customers. Number 4, example number 4, Mpesa. Mpesa differentiated through mass accessibility and technology. Eventually, as I speak with you tonight, 15 billion shillings transacted on a day-to-day basis through Mpesa. In fact, Mpesa is accountable for 42% of the GDP in Kenya through its 13 million subscribers, making the parent company Safaricom's capitalization larger than GDPs of economies like Swaziland, Lesotho, and Burundi. That's what product differentiation can do for you. So the real question is, after this meeting, what's your take home? How shall you differentiate yourself in your market? This takes me to lesson number 7, competitive advantage. I would have preferred to give you 4 methods, but in the interest of time, I'll discuss with you just 2. Because every time you get into any business, as long as there is money in that business, people will come into that business. If they don't come there, then there is no money. So long as there is money, there will be competition. And if you come up with new strategies, competition will react. There is no final battle. There is no resting place. It is a luta continua. Produce and compete, all perish. Let me suggest 2 ways, very non-conventional, of dealing, or rather, rendering competition irrelevant. The first one, I'll call it blue sky strategy. There is a place beyond the clouds where the sky is always clear. The sky is always blue. A point beyond which only the eagle can fly. Last month, with a team of 10 members from Sense 101 Life Club, we climbed Mount Kenya. And after a certain altitude, when we left Shipton Camp, 4,200 meters above the sea level, there was no life, plant or animal. It was just a slippery rock. And by the time we were reaching Lenana Peak, the only life we could see were a few eagles hovering. Even the clouds were beneath us, and the glaciers were beneath us. There is a point beyond which competition ceases, and giants meet at the conceptual level. You see, small mites fight over inheritance. Small mites fight over loot collected from corruption because of scarcity mentality. If you go to Silicon Valley, I've been there a couple of times, they don't fight over the things we fight for in Kenya. They fight over ideas, because the toughest battles happen at the conceptual realms. The toughest fights are conceptual fights. The fight over ideas. There's a point so high that competition ceases, because others cannot bear the temperature and the pressure and the oxygen level. Strategic partnerships are formed by like-minded giants. Beneath the clouds are crowds. The competition is live and rife. Endemic competition. Cutthroat competition. Copycatting is the hallmark of identity. Similarity is their hallmark. Everyone looks like everyone else. The area is gray, dark, gloomy. And I want to invite you to a higher ground. An area that is clear. You know, when you're flying distant places and you begin to cruise at 40,000 feet above the sea level. Remember, the Everest is only 29,000. At that point, the planes are able to get a maximum speed, sometimes between 900 and 1,000 kilometers per hour. And at that maximum speed, although there are over 1,000 planes in the air at any given moment on this planet, you never notice any other plane. You never notice any other plane, because the space is adequate. And that's the space I want to invite you. Identify your blue line. What's that? It is not how superior you are from the rest, but how different you are. If 4 of us were in the jungle and were confronted by a wild, ferocious tiger, if everybody's strategy was running away from the tiger, then I don't need to be the fastest amongst us to reach home alive. I only need to outrun the slowest amongst us. Well, I may arrive home alive, but that doesn't mean I can compete with Usain Bolt. Because I was just competing with very slow people perhaps. But if I'm the slowest amongst us, then if I have to reach home safe, I've got to get a different strategy to deal with the tiger. And here's the deal, precious friends, brothers and sisters. In real life, in business, the dangers may not be fatal like in the jungle. But failure to get on profitability fast enough may have devastating emotional consequences. And that's why turnaround strategies need to be thought on the feet and implemented at heartbeat. What's your blue line? If somebody asks you in a language, your differential factor, how different you are from the rest. Let me give you the second strategy of rendering competition irrelevant. Number 2, identify and run your race. In the 1968 Summer Olympics, John Stephen Awari was scheduled for marathon in Mexico. On the 19th minute, he hurt his leg so badly that he couldn't run. He dragged his feet to the finishing line. He crossed the finishing line 1 hour and a few minutes after the stadium lights had gone out, and the medals were already awarded. The reporters went over to him and asked him, "Sir, what kept you running after the stadium lights had gone out and the medals were already awarded?" John Stephen Awari looked at the journalist eyeball to eyeball and said, "Excuse me, gentlemen and ladies, when my nation, the country of Tanzania, sent me to this country thousands of miles away, they never sent me here to compare myself with the other athletes. They sent me here to finish the race." There's a race set before you. You will never be awarded for running someone else's race. Let me ask you, and I want you to be honest with me. How many in this live audience can confess? Just be very frank. Just be very frank right now. One day you are driving, say, to Nakuru. Just after Keno, there was another guy who passed you, Kimadharao. You got so upset and stepped on that accelerator to prove you have a point. Graciously, you are able to overcome this dude. But after that short celebration, the guy turned on the left to Maimahiu. He wasn't going to Nakuru after all. How many are guilty? Quite some hands. You know, in the race of life, we get into the highway of life at different times. We travel at different paces. We exit at different times. The idea is to finish your race and finish strong and finish faithfully. The good news is this: you are being waited for at the finishing line. Don't give up. There's a crown ahead if you stay the course. But you will only be rewarded for the race you are enrolled. The Apostle Paul talks about the race. I have finished my race. To quote him verbatim, 2 Timothy 4:7, I have fought the good fight. I have kept the faith. I have finished the race. Elsewhere he says, I have run the race with perseverance. There's a race set before me. That's the race I want to run. Is this practical? Let me tell you my own case. I never, ever check what any other speaker in Africa charges. I'll even go beyond that. And I hope you don't take this to be rude or arrogant. I never even check how they train. Why do you say that, Dr. Kenyanjui? Because I decided to compete against my previous self. I decided I will never utter one single word in public that is idle. I never, ever utter one idle word in public. I believe with all my heart, every single sentence I'm telling you has the power to transform you. And I decided I will do for the audience of one, the one who called me. And I decided to be faithful with that. What is the benefit of that? I've never done direct marketing for what I do since the year 2008. Let me tell you this. There is a place where you will never compete with anyone. They can copy you, they can look like you, but they will never become you. Thank you very much. There is something God designed for you alone, and when you run away from it, there is something you're denying the world. There is a need that needs you. There is a responsibility that no one else can replace you. There is a place where you are irreplaceable. Identify that place. And if you haven't identified, I plead with you, my precious friends. I do this. This is the reason I take people for the cruises. Last year, I took people to Egypt. 3 days, I was just teaching them to connect with their purpose. In 3 weeks' time, I'm taking guys from Singapore to Malaysia, to Thailand, in the high seas, to connect with their purpose. In August, I'll do the same. From Southampton in the UK, all the way to Italy and back. I know you're late for those cruises, but you can plan to join us next year, April. If you can't manage it, you can't afford, there is therefore now no condemnation. This is what you can do. Come on the 13th of October. We have a crash program for you here, local, which I call 12 hours of transformation, from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. at Lydian Towers. And I'll help you connect your God-given talents. You connect the dots between your God-given talents, the resources at your disposal, the skills you've acquired, and your deepest passions and interests. There's nothing more dangerous than walking through this life never knowing the reason for your existence. What if you reach the end of the road and realize it was all wrong? You never lived. Your God-given assignment was perishing within you. Did you know God has no afterthoughts? Everything that you need for your life is already in you. God declares the end from the beginning. There's nothing you'll ever need that he has not given you. God doesn't wait for you to recollect who you are and correct yourself and then release your gifts. Anything you ever need for your purpose is trapped within you. Lesson number 8. Can we go to number 8? Team execution. Now, maybe you'd be more interested for me to teach you technical skills about business. The reality is, the most important skill you'll ever learn about business is about people, is the soft skills. The poor work very hard with their hands. The rich work very hard using your hands. While the poor concentrate working harder and harder, the rich concentrate on building people. Great entrepreneurs learned ago that you don't build a business, you build people, and then people build the business. Have you ever heard someone say, I don't know what's wrong with people, I don't understand them. What's wrong with employees? If you don't know, if you don't understand people, you have no chance to run business. Business is a democracy. Business is done by people, for people, through people. If you can't get along with others, a eucalyptus tree that requires a lot of water has a higher chance of survival in the Sahara than you. I have so much to say about team execution. Let me just throw you some 10 gems, very quickly, some 10 gems. Food for thought. Food for thought. Number 1, understand your team. People have different temperaments and personalities. They are going through different seasons. They have different tastes. They work at different speeds. Don't compare them. Do not even compare customers. Do not tell employees, if I was here, it could have happened like this, like this. You are not there. If it was me, why? It's not you. They can't work like you. You've got to bite the bullet that we are all different. Number 2, protect your team emotionally. Don't tear each other in public. Correct them in your privacy. Let them know that you want to protect them emotionally. When there is faith in the future, there is power in the present. Employees have the same needs just like their employer. They want to take their children to good schools. They want to go for holiday. They want to drive nice cars just like you. When they realize you care, they care for your business. They don't care how much you have. They care how much you care. Number 3, role model your team. Model the language you want them to use. Do you want them to go early? You go early. Don't tell them what to do. Lead them in what to do. If you are a businessman or woman and you came for this conference, after this, don't tell them what I told you. Show them what I told you. Don't be a travel agent pointing to places you've never been. Take a walk and then make an invitation to where you are. You can only effectively teach what you consistently model. Model the behavior that you want employees to use. Guess what? This is profound. Treat your employees the way you want them to treat your finest customers. Timid employees are a reflection of an intimidating boss. Confident staff members are an indication of a boss who assures them over and over again. If I come to your office and your secretary bullies me, it tells me the kind of a person the boss is. You don't produce who you want, you produce who you are. You don't attract who you want. You may want to attract cabinet secretaries in your life, governors in your life, but in reality, you don't attract who you want, you attract who you are. You produce your type, you produce your kind. Number 4, connect with your team members. Create the time. Don't be mechanical. Create a humane environment. Go there when they have a loved one who has died. Start with them when they have a wedding. Can you imagine what we do in Kenya? Funny behaviors. Someone loses a loved one. And then the first thing every Kenyan does, like. What are you liking? Please, if I've lost a loved one, don't like it. If you can't come to see me, just pass, leave it. You can't begin to like. What are you liking? It is not enough to give a street boy some bread. It takes more effort to go and pick them, take them to a restaurant, and then embrace them. That's the time they see God in you. Number 5, learn to communicate. Don't leave them guessing. When you don't give people information, they fill in the gaps. They decide the story for you. Assumptions are the termites of relationships. Don't make assumptions. Agree the communication policy. For example, refuse to text at midnight. Be clear with your communication channels. Agree that you're going to put it in writing. Make it two-way. Make it a dialogue. Number 6, learn to listen. Every time a company collapsed and employees were interviewed, the first one thing they said, we knew we were collapsing, but nobody was listening. Have you ever thought about this? Everything you say you already know, unless you're Mother case. Every time you open your mouth to speak, you already know what you're about to say. You begin to learn when you listen. A lot of people listen with the attitude of replying. The reason they are listening is to give a response. I urge you to do something different, diametrically different. Listen as though you are meant to make a presentation of what is being said. When you listen, you don't just hear what is being said, but you hear what is not being said. You get to know what they know, and then you identify the gaps. You get to know what they do not know. Number 7, empathize with your employees. Empathy is not sympathy. Sympathy is feeling for. Empathy is feeling with another human being. Listening to the non-verbal cues, including body movements and gestures. Using questions to clarify whether you understand their emotions appropriately. Acknowledging their feelings even if you disagree with them, and refusing at all costs to be judgmental or to belittle their feelings. Please come. You came together. You've just met here. Oh, good. Men are linear, women are cyclic. One of the lessons I teach is why men are linear and women are cyclic. And I teach it at Mount Kilimabogo twice a year. On top, here's a lady with a very warm jacket. Here's a gentleman with a shirt only. They're in the same venue. One is feeling hot, one is feeling cold. And they are both right. Don't fight over feelings. You know, there are a lot of couples who fight. We have just eaten. Why are you hungry? Excuse me? Are you carrying his stomach? Feelings are not positive. They are not negative. They are just feelings. So, brother, it is a very cold evening, period. Sister, it's a very hot evening. And let's not fight over it. People are divorcing over feelings. We can be in the same place and we are having different feelings. Do not belittle any other person's feeling, even in your marriage, not even in the office. Is that okay? You miss it. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. Are you number 8? dig for the gold. Dig for the gold. There is something good in every person. Look for the good. What we praise is more likely to flourish than what we condemn. There is no company that was put up by superhuman, but average men and women who are given an opportunity. You will get what you're looking for, I assure you. If you're looking for bad people, you will see it. If you're looking for fault, you will see it. You see, some people are gifted fault finders as though there is a reward for it. If you're looking for gold, you'll see it. I used to teach at the University of Nairobi and JKUAT, both master's and PhD classes. And I used to start the classes on part-time basis. I used to start my classes by telling students what I'm about to tell you. When you're mining gold, you remove tons and tons and tons of dirt, but you don't go in there looking for the dirt. You go in there looking for the gold. You develop people by looking for the gold in them, not the dirt in them. The gold could be as small as this glass, and the dirt could be trucks and trucks and trucks. Dig for that gold. Look for the good in that person. You will see it. Number 9. Learn to respond, not to react. Sometimes we'll be upset. They were late to take the tender. They missed it with 5 minutes. You have a choice to make. You can hit the ceiling and call them names of all domestic animals, but the tender is still not in the tender box. Is that a fact? What is changing the situation? It's not changing. It is just making you more upset. As a business leader, composure is not an option. One incident, actually 2, made Moses miss the land of promise. He struck the rock, and then he broke the tablets, and he missed the land of promise. Don't lose your cool. Don't lose your composure. They will never do things perfectly. But who is perfect? Are you? No. Number 10 and the last one. Believe in your team. Show your employees that you don't trust them, and they will go an extra mile to prove they are jacks. Show them that you trust them, and they will go an extra mile to prove they are trustworthy. They eventually give you what you give them. Learn to trust them. Delegate, but never lose control. Be above board, but let them know you believe in them. Affirm them. Speak it. Your thoughts don't bless them. Love never spoken is not love. You've got to speak it. Verbalize it. Let them hear you say, I love you. I need you. Say it as though this is the only person who matters in your business. You'll be surprised they'll go an extra mile to deliver for you. In all likelihood, before I give you the 10 sources of business funding, no matter how gifted you are, none of you will retain 10% of what I've spoken tonight in the next 2 months, no matter how gifted you are. This is my suggestion for you. I have a program which I normally sell at 10,000. It's done online. The same thing you've done right now, it's available online. Not YouTube. I know many of you listen to me on YouTube, but I normally sell them at 10,000. You cannot download it. You can only go through it online. Good news is this: you can study from your kitchen, from your sitting room, from your office, in the planes, in the trains, in the cars. The program is yours indefinitely. You can even study from your phone. Let's go to business funding. Can we go there? 10 of them. Number 1, what is in your hands? That's my first question. Number 1, what is in your hands? If you have nothing in your hands, you have nothing to give the world. I was an undergraduate student when I began speaking to students in high school. I knew those days I couldn't speak to corporates. I spoke to the people where I qualified to speak to. Some of the schools I went, they invited me to speak to parents. In those parental meetings, some of the parents who heard me speak were corporate leaders. They began to invite me in their companies. I've now traveled virtually in every continent. But it began with one question: what is in your hands? Is this only true for me? Absolutely not. Douglas and Jacob left Moore University, age 24 and 25. I carried Jacob He's here in our midst. You can look for him after this. I carried him. He asked me questions about something he wanted to do. And finally, they launched Africa Car, a car tracking system using mobile phone. They have gotten awards in 4 countries. Tony Iros, he's here in our midst. Again, you can talk to him after this. A dear friend of mine who did mass communication at the University of Nairobi. He asked himself in those days when there were no jobs in Kenya, what can I do with my hands? He decided to become a hairstylist. Most of you who follow me on social media, you know I have launched a business in beauty. I don't run it. It is run by my master who is together with me here. We have a couple of them, and some of the products we use are Tony Iros products because the guy is so obsessed with quality and standards. He ensured even his products meet the same criteria. My friend, Peter Kenovia, did the same. He launched it in the 90s. And when he sold Nice and Lovely, he sold it to Rorin at 2 billion shillings. And I've written that story of Kenovia right in this book, of You Don't Need a Job. Because this book, I analyzed 8 stories of 8 successful Kenyans who started from scratch and how they succeeded. Can you imagine? Kenovia sold Nice and Lovely at 2 billion Kenya shillings. He didn't sell a factory. He didn't sell anything you can touch, just the brand. He just gave the name. And 2 billion went to his bank account. Where is the money coming from? Number 2, own savings. Here is the deal. Most entrepreneurs were employed somewhere. That's a fact. And most of you listening to me here tonight, you're employed somewhere. That's a fact. Do not live hand to mouth. If you do not learn the discipline of saving, why do you expect other people to invest in your idea? It's much easier to say, look, I have saved 300,000 shillings. Can you top me up with 700,000? Because you put your treasure there, it means you put your heart there. Where is the money coming from? Number 3, financial institutions, circles, MFIs, banks. The bank is the only place where the poor and the rich meet. The poor takes the money to the bank and says, fix the money in a fixed deposit account for the next 3 years. I have no idea. I'm so poor with anything. I don't know what to do. Just fix it. Fix it. I'm empty for 3 years. Fix it. And the rich man, rich with what? Rich with ideas, goes for your money. If you fear loans, you definitely have not clarified your thoughts. You're fearing failure. You cannot control the risks. You manage risks, but you cannot eliminate them. So banks exist to support you. They have supported me. And I'm standing here to tell you, before he was president, Donald Trump said this, I never bought anything that I could afford. If you only grow through what is in your pocket, a snail is faster. Where is the money coming from? Number 4. Suppliers of goods and services. One of our members in Sense One Life Club, I don't know whether she's in our midst tonight, Melanie Wituka. She borrowed 200,000 from her mama to pay her casual laborers when she decided to get into construction, an industry that is predominantly male. There's such male chauvinism in construction that even they put a road sign, men at work. But Melanie decided to get in there. The first tender she got from the CDF was 1.5 million. She didn't have the rest. But she was able to do that road primarily because she got partnerships with suppliers of machinery, equipment, caterpillars, and then she used to be paid again in certificates as they traditionally do in roadworks. The next project was 5 million. The next project was 20 million. She was finally awarded in 2014 the National Woman Contractor of the Year, and in 2015, the Africa Contractor Woman of the Year. But there are many times she felt like quitting. I've been mentoring Melanie. Every time I go to Kisumu, she drives all the way from Kakamega. Doc, please, can I get 10 minutes with you? Just 10 minutes. And of course, she knows if she meets me, she cannot resign. And I told her, this is the reason I'm writing your story in this book. Don't embarrass me. You must win. Where is the money coming from? Number 5, from your customers. The interesting thing is this. In my training profession, almost always, Somebody pays me 30% advance, they pay my flight, they pay my hotel accommodation together with my personal assistant. Now, this is money in kind, capital in kind. Why? My reputation. Every time you work well with your customers, they will always advance you. And even if they don't advance you, they will not delay payments, which in itself is capital. Because one of the things that destroy businesses is delayed payments. Where is the money coming from? Number 6, partners. Sometimes we may decide, hey, there's something I can do. I'm good in teaching, but I'm not good in marketing. Get a partner in marketing to complement you. Or I'm a pharmacist, but my friend is not. He's an accountant. He can be registered to run this, but he can be our finance director. If people can't give you money, clarify your vision. People don't give people money. People invest in a vision. Even the Lord taught us much. When you go before the Lord to make your petitions, clarify your thinking. Because God is not impressed with people who cannot honor their vows. Do not use repetitious words, Jesus taught, as the Pharisees do. Be sure with what you're asking. Be precise. Where is the money coming from? Number 7, strategic investors. The difference between investors and partners is simple. Partners come in the business to run with you. Investors give you the money. They don't come into the business. Initially, they may want a report after the end of the month. After that, they may ask you on quarterly basis, then annually. Investors are people with excess money that they are not using. They're comfortable with their own business, but they don't mind investing in a sharp brain, in a sharp idea. Where is the money going to come from? Number 8, project finance. Those of you in our midst who have interest in real estate, I want to give you a secret here. You can end up doing so well in real estate without ever spending your own money. That's exactly what Integres did with Kenyatta University when they were putting the 10,000 hostels. They came up with a contract. We call it a special purpose vehicle. So you get the contracts from the engineers, from the architects, from Kenyatta University that gives the land. And this is the same thing that the governor for Machakos, Honorable Alfred Mutu, was suggesting to the private investors through a PPP arrangement. If you're interested in real estate, particularly how to make use of project finance, which is different from financing projects. Financing projects is getting money from the bank, and then you finance that, say, construction project. Maybe you're doing some apartments. Project finance is coming up with contractual agreements, and I'll take you through offtake contracts, concessionary contracts. Where is the money coming from? Number 9, venture capital. Venture capital. Venture capitalists come into the business, they give you the money. Usually after a period of 7 years, they plow back their investment and the profits, and they leave you to run the show. Normally they're interested with 3 areas: ICT, energy, and climate change. How many in this live audience have ever heard about the guys calling themselves the sharks? The sharks. Fantastic. These are venture capitalists. Where is the money going to come from? Number 10 and the last one. Negotiate on a profit sharing scheme with a collapsing company. That sounds funny. Negotiate on a profit sharing scheme with a collapsing company. Now, I'm not joking on this point. I know we have many people here from Equity Bank, but this is exactly what Dr. James Mwangi did. Equity was a building society that was not doing so well when Dr. Mwangi went in there. And he went now as an executive director, starting in finance. He became the turnaround CEO. This is the story of James Mworia when Centum was on its knees. Today, Centum is the best performing investment vehicle in East Africa. He became the turnaround CEO. And so I invite you to rethink about that. Don't always join the companies that are doing well. Get to someone who's headed to the doldrums and prove your worth. You see, the average person wants to be paid based on the number of hours they work. The strategic mind wants to be paid based on the value they add. The average mind is complaining, I have worked for 20 years and they have not promoted me and they have not given me a salary raise. The strategic mind does not complain about how many years I've been working in this company. They check the value add. What difference have I made since I came here? That's the difference. And this is the kind of a person who can say, wait a minute, why are you closing Everready? Why are you closing Kogoro Foods? Many these companies closed last year and last year but one. Many of them closed. We just need one of us here to say, I think perhaps Softa needed a strategy to get it right. I want to make my part in short. If people like you, they will listen to you. If people trust you, they will do business with you. Do not deviate business funds. Plow back. It takes 6 to 18 months for the average business to stand. Do not confuse incomes with profitability. Keep your eye on profitability. If accounting and finance is not your thing, hire a professional consultant to come once a month. They don't have to be employees. Agree on terms. They come for 2-3 hours to keep your books right. While I spoke about a business system, at the preliminary stages of your business, you've got to build on sweat equity. In the corporate world, you had structures. There was a marketing department, there was a procurement department, there was a HR department. But now in your business, you're both the tea girl, the CEO, the marketer, the sweeper, the guy who opens, and the one who closes the shop. Swallow the pride. Say no to inhibitions. Don't let degrees stand between you and your business. The best marketers in Kenya are diploma holders because many of you graduates, you allow that degree, you allow your degrees to interfere with your education. If you need to buy something downtown, swallow your pride. They don't kill people in Kirinyaga Road. Go there. Riding a matatu does not define you. There's nothing you wear that gives you significance. There's nothing you drive that gives you value. Your value comes from God. And so finally, lean not in your own understanding. Proverbs 3:5. Trust in the Lord God with all your heart. Ultimately, all said and done, it is God who lifts up one and puts down one. Promotion neither comes from the east or from the west. Put your trust in the Lord your God. I want to tell you this for a fact. If you analyze all said and done, it's God who leads a person and puts down another one. And therefore I commend you to the one who owns cattle in 1,000 hills. The Lord bless you and keep you. The Lord bless you and be gracious to you. The Lord bless you and turn his face toward you. In Jesus' name, amen.